Hey, this is Eric from Edrumcenter here, and we're going to talk about the new Zildjian ALCHEM-E kit. So this is the Gold EX kit. It has everything you need, including the module, the cymbals, and the drums. So Zildjian had they got a new CEO a couple years ago, and they really wanted to come out with something big for their 400th anniversary, which is, I guess, soon. I don't know. Maybe it's.
I thought it was actually last year, because I thought it was 1623.
They've had the 400th anniversary sticks out for a while, but anyway, They wanted something big out for 400, and they wanted an electronic drum product, and the story is apparently tried to buy a few companies or bring some companies on to like collaborate with. None of that really panned out, I guess. So they decided just to do it all in house, and so they got kind of a dream team of electronic drum engineers. Started talking to a bunch of companies and customers about what they wanted, I guess. A bunch of their drummers and because they have a bunch of big endorsees of what they wanted. They actually, I guess I could say this, they bought like pretty much every electronic drum kit we sold. I think I've told you guys this. It would come up, Craigie Zildjian bought, this kit and bought that kit. I'm like, man, Craigie Zildjian really likes E-drums. I'm like, wait, that's Zildjian. And so they did some serious market research when they came out with this, and I think they've done a pretty good job. It's definitely these are metal electronic cymbals, which have always been a little hit and miss. I've been selling E-drums for a really long time, 3 decades, and I don't think anybody's really gotten it. This is the closest thing. For sure, everybody kind of agrees it's by far the best electronic metal cymbals that have ever been done,
hands down.
So yeah, we think they've done a pretty good job. The module's really good. It's got some specs that make it kind of play in that higher range, like eight analog outputs, MIDI, built-in Bluetooth, color touchscreen. They kind of hit every little thing. Even the drums are like using the multi-sensor outside the drum system, so there's no hot spotting. There's not really anything on this kit that's bad design or antiquated or anything. They really think they seem to have thought of everything, and it's come together into a pretty cool product. Mm-hmm. They started telling us about this last July. And so we've gotten several instances to play on like early models, and it really got us excited about like the future of the product. They're at this taping, they're furiously trying to like perfect the firmware for launch, which is today. Should be coming out on May 10th, and our feeling is that they're going to keep developing and improving the product. Like after launch, it's not going to just be like, hey, it's out, this is it, deal with it. They're going to keep improving it and listening to people's feedback and stuff and make it better and better over time. So pretty excited about the product, and we'll go ahead and start talking about it. You guys have any thoughts?
The first thing I think we need to stress is this is not Gen 16. It is not Gen 16. I know a lot of people have kind of thought that when the rumors kind of started coming around, but It is absolutely a better product.
Far better.
It's, I think Eric kind of touched on this a little bit. One of the things that Zildjian has kind of said is that they want it to be a out-of-the-box, plug-and-play experience where you just set it up and it's just awesome out the door. And while it is pretty awesome, we have found that it greatly benefits from a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah.
The more you kind of dial them into your particular playing, the better they just keep getting better and better.
Mm-hmm. And like any new product, you kind of have to get used to it. The metal cymbals, because I play on primarily rubber electronic cymbals and have just exclusively for very many years. It's kind of jarring to go back to like an actual acoustic cymbal. These are the L80 low volume cymbals, essentially, right?
No, they're dead up. I think.
Yeah. So they're a cymbal with a bunch of holes drilled in them. So like right off, they're much more sensitive and dynamic than a rubber electronic cymbal is.
much more musical in the room too. One of the things that I've liked about it is that even just sitting on behind the kit, if it's not turned on, it still sounds cool.
Yeah. The drums actually have Mylar heads. They ship with those and a snare
on the resonance.
on the snare
Yeah,
on the reso heads.
Yeah, the top heads are
Heads are mesh for sure. But it's not loud. It's still conversational volume.
Yeah, to add to that, the cymbals are definitely louder than like your standard rubber E-drum, but they are far quieter than other metal brands that we've played.
Yeah.
Like with the other brands that have metal cymbals, you play those, and I'll be in my office and someone's out here playing them, and it's
DWE.
strikingly loud like that. And
We can say what they are.
Well, DWE and field cymbals and all those.
Trying to think.
But these ones are...
Heart Dynamics.
I mean, you can tell they're louder than a rubber, but they're far quieter, and like y'all are saying, they're more musical. So even when I'm hearing them be played, it's kind of nice, and they're also way lighter than the other brands. That's one thing I've noticed
They're
with
incredibly light.
Field and DWEs. Their cymbals are kind of heavy when you hit them, whereas these are very light.
These
cymbals.
definitely shimmy and vibrate like a cymbal would.
Yeah.
But they're even lighter than an acoustic cymbal, though.
Yeah, because all the holes and stuff.
Yeah,
Half the metal's missing, but
I mean, if you've played on the low volume cymbals, that's the exact same experience.
yeah, it's what they are.
It's not just that though. They're brought to life by like module magic,
Right.
Yeah.
we like to say, and we don't know what they're doing in there, but it seems to like really do a good job of giving you a 3-zone ride, for example.
The crashes also have bell zones on them as well.
They do. The only thing that doesn't have a bell right now is the hi-hat, which is supposed to be added at a later update.
Yeah, just for full disclosure too, we are currently only on the firmware update 1.0.5, and we know they've got a newer firmware right now that we haven't seen yet, and they're also working on more to have by launch time. So there could be some things that are different by the time.
But one
this
thing we
launches.
absolutely want to stress, and it says this inside the module when you open it too, but absolutely update it first thing.
Yes.
Do not
Yeah,
just first thing immediately out the box.
Our shipment is actually coming in a couple days.
Yeah.
Right before launch, so we'll have them ready to ship. But those are all going to be 1.0,
Yeah.
Yep.
and they're going to be 1.1 at launch. So it's going to be like several firmwares later to, like I said, they're going to keep improving it right up until launch day and then keep going forward after that.
Yeah.
And we will say that, I mean, I think you guys will agree with me on this, that when we went from the 1.0.0 to 1.5 or whatever, it was a vast difference. Like
Yeah.
it dramatically improved. Not that it was terrible.
And we played on
it just got way better.
one of the development kits that they brought by, was it a few months ago?
This
Yeah,
is
back
February.
in February, yeah.
February. Like, it was like a dream machine.
Yeah,
Like,
it-
everybody was like, oh, everybody, we have to get one of these kits.
Mm-hmm.
And, all those tweaks and stuff that he had made over time are all obviously possible on the firmware. It's just like he had dialed it in, like, to the nines for, like, what he liked. And he's a drummer, you know. It's a cool product. And trying to think if there's anything else we need to, like, talk about. Like, the mesh heads are just like,
They're pretty comparable to Roland's.
I wouldn't say they're any different than any other mesh heads on the market. Maybe a little thinner.
No better, no worse.
Yeah.
I don't like that you can see through them.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
It
like
is a little weird, but I
it
agree.
doesn't mean anything. But
That's just personal preference. Some people might really like that. So. But the kit itself, it's kind of hard. I don't know how much this is going to come through in the video, but the kit itself is actually really pretty.
Yes.
It is depending on where the light is and how much light you have, it's really kind of a dark green with golden flecks in
Yeah.
it. And apparently the golden flecks are actually little pieces of old Zildjian cymbals
Yes.
that were
Yeah.
ground into the paint.
I like the tube lugs.
It's a classy looking kit. It
Classy
really is.
looking kit.
They really the badges are nice. The
This is a
branding-
lacquer. This is not a wrap.
Right.
Yeah, it's lacquer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, even the packaging, they really you can tell they really were trying hard to get the experience right, because like everything about it is just it's classy,
I personally like the bronze kit quite a bit because it's like a matte black finish. Yeah, there's a gold kit which is a 4-piece with a smaller ride cymbal.
No, actually, I was wrong about that. So the gold package has a 16-inch crash and a 20-inch ride, 14-inch hi-hats, but it's just a 10 and 14-inch toms.
Oh, it doesn't come with the 18.
It doesn't go with the 18.
Okay.
But the bronze package is the half shells, and it's got 14-inch hi-hats, 16-inch crash, and 18-inch crash ride.
Yeah.
Now, at launch, they are not selling the cymbals individually. However,
Or the module.
However, they did say that there are plans to do that
Yeah.
eventually. They
I asked
just
that
didn't say-
way back, and when it first came out, I was like, please sell the module and the cymbals by itself.
Yeah,
And they
I'm
plan
interested
to.
in one.
They said and right now they only have the 10, 12, and 14 toms, but they do plan to bring in a 16 at some point. I think they only have the 16, 18, 20, and 14-inch cymbals right now, but they did say they are planning to bring in splashes and chinas and stuff like that down the road too.
Very
So-
cool. Yeah, I was wondering about that. So, also to be clear, this is just our first impressions video, which is, like we said, not on the final firmware
Right.
because it's not out yet.
We want to stress that.
But we want to get this video out on launch. So we plan on doing a follow-up video in, a week?
Roughly, maybe less.
Maybe with some more playing, talking about like any firmware changes that happened last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to have Mike Weber from, I think he's actually the product lead from Zildjian,
Yes.
to sit in on that. So if you want us to, if you have any questions or anything, post them down below and we'll get to those in the next video.
Yeah.
Or answer them right there, just on the comments.
But specifically, if you have anything that you want us to ask Zildjian, put it in the comments and we'll touch base.
So we should have every one of these kits in stock. That shipment's coming in almost a week before launch.
Mm-hmm.
So by
So-
the time you're watching this,
By the time you're watching this, they'll be live on our website, and you can place the order.
Real quick, one thing we haven't touched on yet that needs to be said. So the sounds on the module themselves are very good sounds, but they don't have any like electronic kit sounds. So be aware that it's mostly just true acoustic sounds, different kits,
Very much the ATV F note,
Mimic Pro kind of.
like
little bit.
Mimic Pro kind
Yeah,
of.
you're not gonna
philosophy.
you're not gonna have a lot of those like sounds Roland would have that are just like for electronic music kind of stuff. This is strictly in the true acoustic vein, but they are very good sounds.
Well,
There's no
one
way
thing
to import samples either at
launch. But I think they said they plan to do that eventually, but
Right.
I can't remember. But one thing that we didn't touch on that I think is very important that we say is that basically where the cymbal sounds came through here, what they did was go to the Zildjian vault and actually went through and hand-picked a selection of all of the cymbals. So it's not necessarily the entire Zildjian catalog, but it's all of the major hitters. I mean, you're getting all the Ks, you're getting all the Zs, all the As, the A customs. It's not every single one, but it's the vast majority. And I think they said they do plan on adding down the road to that sound library as well, whether that's for purchase or whether it's free. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
remember.
stressing that it should be free.
Yes.
If possible, just adds value to the person who's bought the kit. But they may have some kind of crazy deal with an artist where they just can't do that. I think is what they said.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics on that, and that might be something that Mike can clarify for us whenever he's
Yeah.
here. But it's we just want to stress that these are it's Zildjian cymbals. You're you're getting the entire vault basically, which is what they call the module too. It's the
vault,
E-vault.
Yeah.
T-vault.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
One cool thing too that I found, and this isn't the first brand I've seen do this, but the kick drums on a lot of the kits have like velocity. For like if you hit a light hit, you get a sound. If you hit a harder hit, you get a different sound out of the kick drum. And I just find that pretty cool. I've seen other brands do it, but it seemed
The ATV 85
yeah.
was one of the first ones I remember that did
And
that.
I definitely there was definitely more than one kit where I noticed that, where I'd hit the kick drum kind of light and it'd be a sound, and I hit it hard and I was like, oh wow, that's a different sound. That's cool that it's the velocity matters when hitting this. It's a pretty neat feature.
I want to add one more thing that maybe matters, maybe doesn't, but in regards to the price, the module's actually made in Japan. It's like the module's made in Japan. Cymbals are obviously made in Massachusetts, and the shells come from Taiwan. So it's like none of this is like, and all these are like pretty high quality places to get. Like most of the higher quality shells are from Taiwan now. Japan obviously well known for manufacturing electronics, and Zildjian's making the cymbals at their facility. So they're not just like designing it and then having it all made in the cheapest possible place. like some other companies do.
No, I mean, like I said before, I think that everything about it kind of screams quality.
Yeah.
You know, they really
Even the boxes.
Yeah.
exactly.
You get the kit and you're like, man, they really thought out these boxes. Everything's marked really nicely, and you can tell exactly what's in what box.
They really came at it with a lot of thought and heart. It seems like they really cared about putting something good out. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of support that we've received since we got the first kit has been, you know.
And just the heads up we got, you know, way ahead of time. It's like, hey, this is coming out.
Right.
Don't tell anybody. That's been really hard, by the way, not to
Yeah.
say anything about this for like almost a year. Like, because we hadn't really played on it until January. I played on it at NAMM in January. You guys played on it in February. But, you know, I knew this was coming for quite a while, and it's just like, we didn't know specifics until more recently, but yeah. Now it's out, and you guys can go ahead and grab one, so I suggest you do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Before they sell out.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it. We're going to be back with another video on this because it's such a big thing. And questions, let us know. Subscribe, like for more, and we'll talk to you next time.